talk cleaning. Because when you first initially get your enclosure, whether it's you buy something used, you buy something new in a kit like this, first thing you're going to want to do is clean it. These things are in pet stores, they're in warehouses, they're by bugs, they're by everything else. So just because you unwrapped it does not mean it's clean and fresh. You need to go through and clean anything that might have gotten in there, some things you can't see. So what I typically do is start with some warm soapy water, clean the inside, the outside, rinse it out. If you have a utility sink, that's easier. Just be careful because it's glass, it's slippery, you can drop it, break it. So if you just spray it down and use a sponge and then clean it out really well. And then what I'll do is I'll do a water and bleach mixture, and then I will spray that down and kind of let it sit, and then clean that out, rinse that out really well so you don't have the bleach. But bleach and water is a very good disinfectant. The other thing is hydrogen peroxide. So you can buy it in the little hydrogen peroxide brown bottles, which you can just dump into a sprayer like this. So whenever I'm cleaning, I just use this, I spray it on there and get through. You can buy this peroxide disinfectant, same type of thing. So both of these will do good to do regular maintenance and cleaning. And then you can get very disinfectant. So a veterinary disinfectant that a lot of reptile owners use is called F10 SE. And again, this is a concentrate that you need to mix with water. So again, I have a spray bottle. I have different things in here. Spray it down, let it sit for 10 minutes, wipe it all clean, rinse it out, spray it with hydrogen peroxide afterwards to clean this stuff out. So you can go through that regimen depending on how you feel comfortable and the mess that you have to clean up and the maintenance that you need to do. Typically for a new enclosure, I will do warm soapy water, I will do bleach, then I will do F10. I will do all of those before I even start setting anything up. Once you have your enclosure clean, you're going to want to add your substrate. And again, aspen, you can buy big bags of aspen. There's different types of aspen. There's little tiny chips. There's bigger shreds. There's even bigger. So this is a typical aspen mixture. You can get shredded stuff that's smaller, and you can get little tiny chips as well. It depends. For a new corn snake, I would recommend the bigger chips. That way when you feed, the smaller ones tend to stick to the food that they eat, and then they ingest some of that, and that can cause some impaction. If they ate this, it could cause some impaction as well, but this is just kind of your standard aspen. And again, this video is on basic setup. So got 2 inches of aspen in here, we're ready to go. So let's talk heating. Heating depends on what substrate you have in here. Now these kits come with this heat map, but they don't come with a thermostat to measure and monitor how much heat output these mats have. So typically the instructions are to put this heat map on the bottom of an enclosure. It'll warm it up through the aspen, but that's not very natural for snakes. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, and they're used to sunlight coming down and having that basking area where they can get warm with that type of radiation heat. It's strongly debated whether these do anything for your reptiles. Yes, they provide warmth, but is it what they really need, and is it natural? But again, as a basic setup, you would put these heat maps on the bottom of your tank. They're sticky sides on the mat, or you can put it on the side or on the back. It really depends on what you're creating for your animal. One key thing with these mats, when you put them on the bottom of a tank, this enclosure is elevated. This is up about 1/2 inch, which is good. Some basic aquariums do not. They're flat. If you get a fish aquarium, they're flat on the bottom. You would need to raise that up. These heat maps, without a regulator, will crack your glass if it gets too hot, because it traps the heat in between your table and the aquarium. Some people elect to then put them on the side, because then you don't have that damage of trapping the heat and cracking your glass and injuring your animal. So even breeders use rack systems that either have belly heat or back heat is what they refer to. So throwing this on the back could be beneficial. Now you can also use multiple heat sources. You could use this, you could use a lamp on top. to provide a different gradient. But the key thing is you're going to want to measure the temperature that these are outputting to make sure you don't harm your animal. Now again, this is just a basic setup, so you can slap this on the bottom, slap it on the side, and your animal will do fairly well. A better setup is a lighting system. So you can buy a variety of single or multiple domes. So this one has, I just threw some bulbs in here, but this is a heat bulb and this is a UVB light bulb. You could put the heat on the hot side and the light on the other side. Now you have to be careful with plastic because these will melt plastic, but as you see, these are designed to kind of keep the bulbs up in a way but still coming down. So you can put these, they have hangers where you can hang these. They have little stands that you can put. You put the stand in the back and the legs would go under the tank. And then you can hang these up as well to provide heat. The problem with these type of domes is they can be a danger, right? Because when you want to get in here, I have a sliding top. What am I going to do? I'm going to grab this, I'm going to set it down hot, wherever it is, without taking it off and letting it cool. So stands are very good to avoid that. But if you have cats or dogs or children that could be knocking this around or knocking it off the tank when you're not home, this could be problematic. So again, basic setup with a heat map may work best for you, unless you have a controlled environment where those other things won't happen. A better solution, even with a heat map, and sometimes lights, is a thermostat. Now what a thermostat does is you plug your heat map, heat mat, or lights into the thermostat. Plug your thermostat into the wall, and this is just a basic thermostat. And then you open up one of your grommets in the back, and you would drop this probe inside, and you would stick the probe. This one has a little suction cup that you can suction to the wall, or you could lay on your substrate. You can do whatever. But this is a temperature sensor. So what that does is allow you to control the temperature for your animal. So your animal needs, a corn snake needs, as we discussed, 85 on the hot, 75 on the cool. So this would monitor how hot it is getting where the animal is the idea. And then it would turn off the mat if it got too hot. And then as this detected that it's, oh wait, it's not 85 anymore, it would kick back on to provide more heat to the animal. So it's kind of an on-off switch for your heat, regardless if it's placed on the bottom or the side. Same thing with the lights. This is going to detect what the heat is. Now they do provide in these kits these thermometers, and I have several of these that I've collected over time. So this one I haven't even opened yet, and they have sticky tape on the back. You want to stick it in the middle, inside your tank, in the middle, so you know hot and cold, or buy two and stick one on either end so you can monitor both environments. But as you can see here, I've got multiple of these. So this one says it's 42 degrees and 65% humidity. This one says it's 46 degrees and 80% humidity. This is just a humidity sensor which says it's 40. And then we have this one which says it's 50 in here and 80% humidity. These are inaccurate. These will do an okay job, but if you really care about the temperatures of your animals and making sure that they're okay, you'd want to do something a little bit better. Now, my recommendation is to get just a infrared thermal gun, and this you just point and click, and it'll tell you, my skin right now is 91 degrees. This table is 74 degrees. The outside glass here is 74 degrees. Once you get these set up, you can turn your lights on, turn your mat on, and use the temperature gauge to see what the temperature is within the environment. I can also then point to the cool side, point to the warm side, so I can change and turn the lights down, dim the lights, or worry about getting a thermostat to control a heat map if I see that these are not enough. Because with these heat maps just plugged in, the temperature range is 98 to 116. But these things can go rogue and go more than 116. They're supposed to fail, but I've had them fail on instead of fail off. So even with this, you want to control and see what it is. And again, sticking a heat mat on the outside, sticking a probe on the inside to where you can tell what the snake would be pressed against would be ideal. But I highly recommend that you can use these because they give them to you in the kits. I would get multiple to put in here, but I would also get a thermometer gun so that you can test the heat more accurately. So let's talk about hides. This is what comes with the kit. So I left the cardboard on there, but it's not the cardboard that's obstructing it. This hide is so big for this enclosure, it doesn't even fit in here. The only way it would fit is kind of at an angle. And again, I still have the cardboard on there because I don't want to scratch it, but the cardboard footprint isn't that big. This hide in here that came with this basic kit with a water dish, that's way too big. I can't get another hide on the other side to create a cool and a warm hiding place. And also with a baby corn snake, let me pull the corn snake out here again. Corn snakes like small enclosures, right? They want small hides. They want a place they can cram into and feel comfortable. That enclosure with this snake, or that hide with this snake, is way too big. The snake wouldn't feel comfortable in there. So a lot of times these kits come with things that are just not appropriate for the animal. I don't know any animal that with this hide in there and trying to create zones would feel comfortable. This little thing right here is the hides that my baby corn snakes are in now. And they have plenty of room in there. I'll feed them in there. They'll pull their food in there and eat. They have plenty of room to do what they need to do in there. Let's see if we can get her to use a hide. She might go in there, she might not. But that is plenty big for her at this stage. So for a new baby corn snake setting up an enclosure, that massive hide they provide would not be adequate. My juveniles use a hide like this, and my adults use a hide like this. So very different in size. She's about 40, 50 grams. My adults are about 1,000 grams. So, you know, much bigger size difference between these. And you'd want to place multiple of these, whether you use natural cork rounds or just these plastic hides to put in there. But they need something small. You can use dishes, you can use Tupperware, you can get creative and do different things that you want to for your animals. Hi girl, how are you? Now for a water dish, this is pretty good. She could go in there and crawl in there if she needs the humidity, or she could get a drink of water. That type bowl, I think, is adequately sized. But if you have multiple of these, one on the hot side, one on the cool side, whichever is hot and cool for you, that would be perfect. Put the water in the middle, that way they have access to it. Fill it with other branches, decorations, stick on fake plants, whatever you want to do. They will utilize all of it. They can also burrow into the aspen. So the only concern with this is a heavy dish. You want to make sure is on your substrate as they're digging around that it's not going to spill water all over. So you want to make sure that this is firmly planted. So again, one of the things you could do is take a Tupperware dish, turn it upside down, or like a ceramic dog bowl, turn it upside down and put this on top of it to kind of keep it from moving around. You want to make sure it won't slide off of something else that you put in there though. But this water dish is fairly decent size, got a good weight to it. But for hides, you're going to want to, if you get a kit like this, buy something more appropriately sized. Now one thing to consider with hides. I would equate these to the same kind of volume in size. This one's a little bit bigger dimensionally, but this one's taller, so it has more height. So volume-wise, they're probably about the same. This would be for an adult corn snake, I would say. This enclosure is not for an adult corn snake. It's way too small for an adult corn snake. So for a baby, this hide is too big. The enclosure is just right. Now if you look at this, this is smooth plastic, right? This has got different decorative. It's really cool. It's kind of decorative. It's got a few sharp parts, you know, they can rub against. When they go to the bathroom, they go to the bathroom everywhere, right? So one of the issues you have with this then is cleaning. So thinking about maintenance when you're picking out decor, what is going to be easy for you to take to a sink, that you're going to want to take to a sink, to clean off snake poop, snake pee, all that other stuff. You know, smooth plastic stuff like this, not too exciting to look at, but very easy to maintain. Yeah, it's got some ridges, it's got some edges, but you can use a brush, you can brush that stuff off. You can brush this stuff off too, but it's very hard to get all the microbes and everything else that will get stuck inside these little crevices to keep it clean. So typically I don't like using decorative pieces like this. I'd rather use a yogurt dish or something that's smooth, or something that I can toss out, or something like these that I can clean fairly easy. And you can order these online. You can get them at your local reptile store as well. So I want to head back to water dishes again, talk about a few options. Again, I think this is the appropriate size. About the palm of your hand will work well for a baby corn snake up until, you know, almost an adult. Most of my adults use a dish like this, but I put a 16-ounce deli cup or an 8-ounce deli cup inside these so they don't slide around, and I can just toss them if they get dirty. These are just, you know, I think I got this at Menards for a couple bucks, or some pet store for a couple bucks. Ceramic, smooth. You can use these as well. Now, yes, it's deeper, but you don't have to fill it, right? You only need a little bit of water, depending on how much it would evaporate, how much you're going to clean. You're going to go out of town. You might want to put a little bit more in there, whatever the case may be. You don't have to fill these. That way, if they tip them a little bit, it's not going to pour out and mold their substrate and get it all wet. And if that happens, it's not the end of the world. You just take the wet substrate out, throw it out, put something in, some new stuff to refresh it. You always want to have substrate on hand. But these work well. These are another alternative, and you can buy these fairly cheap, so you can just replace it, put a fresh one in, go throw this one in your dishwasher, whatever you want to do. The other thing I like about these, again, is smooth. Not a lot of stuff is going to stick to them. Here, this one's rough. It's got edges. Again, kind of looks cool, kind of looks like a rock. It's decorative. But again, clean this. You're going to put some effort and some time, and it's going to take away from your experience with your animal to maintain it, but it looks cool. They poop in their water bowls. They will do it. So for sure, you're going to get that in these and have to clean this. Whereas these, again, if they do, dump it out in the toilet, flush it, rinse this out, clean it out well, and it's good to go. Or like I said, buy multiple of them so you can just put the dirty one aside, put a clean one in there, and go about your day. This actually might be a little bit big in there, but with two small hides, I think it's good size. So if you do this, you know, they're going to grow, you're going to need bigger stuff. You don't want to buy them all their adult stuff day one. You're going to have to upgrade enclosure sizes, you're going to have to upgrade water bowls, you're going to have to upgrade hides over time. So we've discussed the enclosure, we've discussed substrate, we've discussed heating, we've discussed lighting, we discussed hides, we discussed water dishes, we discussed how to measure temperature with different devices, different options. I think that's about it. Now, one question people ask is, how big of an enclosure for the size snake that you have? I'm going to grab another sample. Here's another female that I have. Here, this is a candy cane that I have. She's a little feisty right now. And as they're babies, they can be a little bit feisty, right? You're a big, scary adult. They don't know what to do. But how to appropriate size an enclosure, what you want to do is, with the snake's body, you want to make sure that when the snake is spread out, that from its tail to its head, it goes around two sides of the enclosure. You can always go a little bit bigger. You can get a much bigger, 40, 60, 120 gallon for one corn snake, but it would be too much for them. For them to go from the cool side to the warm side would stress them out because they want to stay hidden. As babies, you don't see them very often. They can be a little feisty, like I said. See if she's pretty calm now. Once you pick them up, they're pretty calm. Just pick him up. So again, these are 6 months old, but this enclosure would probably last for the first year and a half for her before it started to get too cramped and she would want something bigger. Now again, you can also help with that if you just have floor space. If you have no climbing decor, they'll last. The enclosure may last a little bit longer if they have something to climb on, because it increases. Shouldn't like my hand movement. It increases the space, not just the floor space. It gives them that vertical space as well that they can climb and get more space in. You say hi to the camera? Hi. Okay, let's put you back. So again, baby corn snake, a 10-gallon, lasts for the first year and a half, 2 years. Let's see if I have a 2-year-old male. So this guy's about a year and a half. You can see a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker, not so much longer. See if we can get him to spread out here a little bit. He would, going 2 sides, be a little bit beyond. His tail would start about here. He'd wrap around just a little bit. Still an okay enclosure for him, but he's at that size where you'd want to upgrade. So that's about a year and a half for him, depending on how fast they grow and how much you feed them. Will help determine the size. Okay, let's put him back. You can say hi too. Say hi to everybody. All right. So I hope that helped answer some basic questions that when you run out and buy these kits, what you're going to get, what you're going to need to replace immediately in those kits. I would say with these kits, you're going to want to, kit is fine, but you're going to want to get rid of that hide, buy an appropriate hide. You're going to need a second hide. You're going to need substrate. This one came with a coupon for some substrate. You have the basic heat map that you can put on there, a good water bowl, but you may want to upgrade your water bowl to something that's more manageable and smooth. Get a second hide, get a temperature gun, and maybe think about different lighting. And that should be it. Hopefully that gives you enough information. As always, you can reach out to me and ask me any questions. You can find us on YouTube at IC Reptiles or our Facebook page at IC Reptiles IL for Illinois. Thank you.